This is Mega Man Legacy Collection 2. It has Mega Man 7 from Super Nintendo, Mega Man 8 is a PlayStation 1 version, and then Mega Man 9 and 10, and those include all the DLC. Although you can beat each game to unlock the DLC, or there's a button code you can input, which you can look that up on the internet if you want to. I just play the game, right? You're gonna beat it with Mega Man anyway. Might as well just do it and then get the DLC because it doesn't extend the base game. It just adds additional modes. And Mega Man 9 gets Proto Man and an endless mode and also a hard difficulty. But the hard difficulty in Mega Man 9, I didn't play it because, and I still haven't played it. When this originally came out, Mega Man 9 in 2008, after Capcom saw how well it was doing, they released the hard mode to do a bit of a squeeze on the fan base, because I think it was like $2 or $3 for the hard mode as DLC, and I was like, you're kidding. But it's Capcom, so it wasn't really a joke. And then 10 has Proto Man and Bass as unlockable characters through DLC, and then obviously another mode too. The footage here is just going to be Mega Man 7, which in my youth, I think I played once or twice, but I never beat it until a couple years ago. And this package, it's phenomenal. Like I really enjoyed this, every single entry. I've heard a lot of people say like Mega Man 7's not good and Mega Man 8 isn't good. And I think that's mainly people who played 1 through 6 and then 7, they're like, this looks like Mega Man X, which it does. And it sounds like Mega Man X. And it does play differently too, like the platforming's easier. It's kind of amusing because the footage you'll see, I'm not really playing my best, and I'm saying it's easier, but this is one of the easier, roots Mega Man games, like that 1 through 10, and 11's coming out in the future now to expand that, but I liked it. The music sometimes gets a little washed out, not due to an EQ issue. It's like some of the instruments they chose on a couple tracks for the SNES instrumentation was kind of lackluster, so unfortunately some tracks don't have the punch they would if perhaps they touched it up a bit or something. But overall it's pretty fun, even though it deviates. Mega Man feels like he moves slower. The jump controls feel a little floaty, like it doesn't have a lot of weight to him, as you can see when I'm jumping in here. And the bullets also travel slower. A lot of the sound effects got replaced too, obviously because it's Super Nintendo, but they don't sound anything like the NES versions, especially the shooting sounds a little... This is all, it's lighthearted is what it is, right? The other ones, they were NES, they were really challenging, they were just, really difficult games, and they've really made it just a really, I wouldn't say childish, because the game's still challenging, but they've made it more cartoony, which I still liked it, so that's not a complaint. Mega Man 8 it came out on Saturn first, I believe, in '96, and then it got a PS1 release. And so in this Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, it's the PS1 version, which is good because the PS1 version had higher quality audio and video. But the Saturn version had cameo bosses. Cutman and Woodman showed up in a couple stages, respectively. But it's only like 2 minutes of extra content because that isn't here in the PS1 version. And then also the Saturn version was harder because it had more enemies. So they did some tuning for the PS1 release. And then it also had a bonus mode you unlocked, I believe, after beating the game. But the bonus mode was essentially, in this game, this collection, it has a museum and the music player. And that's what the bonus mode on the Saturn was. So the PS1, the version you're getting here, all you're really missing is Cutman, Woodman. And Tengu Man also had a different audio track on Saturn compared to PS1. So in this version, you're missing those two bosses, which is only about 2 minutes of content, so it's not really a big loss. And the alternate track and maybe a bit more difficulty. It would have been nice, I guess, if Capcom had worked it into this collection. Said here is the Sega Saturn what did I just say? Sega, but Sega Saturn content. but with the PlayStation 1 quality of assets. But I don't know if that would have been really feasible, just because I'm wondering if maybe Sega had licensing rights to that version. So if they had done that, that would have boosted the price of this, because they'd have to be licensing 2 games to provide 1 copy. And also they would have had to do some additional programming to stitch both versions together seamlessly for the first time ever. So right now it's $20 US, which I think some people would look at and be like, oh, that's overpriced. But I think for the quality of the 4 games here, not just the games themselves, but the port quality, because I'm playing it in original screen mode here, which is why there's a box all around it, that artwork all around, instead of just on the sides, which means it's running in a pixel perfect mode. And I don't remember the other collections enough to know if 7 and 8 had this prior to this release. But 9 and 10 certainly didn't. So to me, this is the definitive version. Just for that alone, the image quality is the best it's ever been, because you can actually set it to pixel perfect. Whereas prior, if you set it to full, it'll stretch vertically. And you get a bit of quality loss in the image fidelity there. And then obviously if you set it to wide, it's even worse. And I'm one of these, like, I like it looking sharp, and that's like, this is beautiful. This is just gorgeous to look at. I mean, even like the fonts on Initiative makes it's maintaining that classic Mega Man font, even though it's low res. But I'm glad they didn't apply like a really crappy bilinear smear filter to this, like what happened with Chrono Trigger on the Android, which ruined the visuals because you couldn't turn it off. This does have a CRT filter option, which puts those scan lines in, but the art's too beautiful. In Castle in the Darkness, I turn on the scan lines because it helped the image quality somehow. But in this, like, the art's just so nice in pixel perfect mode that I don't want to mess with it on any version. Mega Man 8 got a lot of flack as well, just for its style. Like, Mega Man has a voice, and he sounds like a... Well, he sounds like, you know, he's a little boy in Mega Man 8, so he sounds like a little boy, which means he sounds like a girl. I mean, like a little boy. And I liked it. Like, the arts, like, it's... Mega Man 7 deviates from the formula. You know, it's still there, but like the art and the sound and the way he controls, like, it's all, like, that's why it gets a lot of flack from like the purists. But I still love 7. And 8 deviates even more wildly from that line. So I think it gets a lot of hate for that as well. But I still liked it, because to me, it's like if Disney did a Mega Man game. That's how I'd put it. It's like if Disney made a Mega Man game back in the day. And it plays really good. But like, it's like when you do the Rush Jet, because Rush Jet isn't like, you don't use it anymore. It turns into like a Gradius kind of game, but you get on the Rush Jet. Like, you're flying on it, and then you're shooting for Mega Man, and you get upgrades, like Beetle show up, and you can upgrade Rush. It's pretty cool. 9 is the best, like, 9 to me is the best Roots Mega Man game ever made, like, in that original series. Like, when it came out, because 8 came out in 1996, and then 9 came out in 2008, and I was first of all, I was blown away that they had released a new Mega Man after 12 years, but I was expecting it to be like a really bad cash-in, and I was just blown away. I was blown away, and I'm still like in awe of just what a solid game it is. It's got the best soundtrack, the best stage design. It doesn't have any of the slowdown. Like 1 to 6, if they had cleaned up the Legacy Collection for 1 to 6 to have no slowdown, and then have the option for the Legacy mode like what Mega Man 9 and 10 do, those would have been way better games. Because it's, when you play Mega Man 9 and 10, you just, it's impossible to deny how much better those original games would be if they had been cleaned up. Because there's no like nausea from the frame rate constantly jumping around. It feels way smoother to play. The input's better. Like, it's a phenomenal game. I've beaten it something around 20 times. And I still, not in this specific release, but like since it came out in 2008, because I've gone back at least once a year since. And obviously when it first came out, I was trying to get those in-game achievements. because I had it on PlayStation 3, which didn't have trophies. Mega Man 9 didn't have trophies, 10 did, but then it had like a built-in system for it, which had way more than trophies would have had. And I did that, like beat it 5 times in one day thing. Not the cheese way, like start to finish, I did that 5 times in one day. Like, it's such a good game. And when 10 came out 2 years later, I was extremely disappointed, and at the time I called it a cash-in just because how much of a quality loss it was compared to 9. But after replaying 10 here, because it's been, it's been 7 years since I played 10, because I beat it once, I was like, I can't do this. Like, this game's just a garbage Capcom cash-in, like, so common from them. But nowadays I played it, and what it is Mega Man 10, it's a really high-quality game. But compared to Mega Man 9, it's like it was impossible for it to outdo that, I think. Or not necessarily impossible. It's just Mega Man 9. It's like Stairway to Heaven for Mega Man. Like, it's just, where did it come from? All this creativity, like all these great ideas. Like, it just, there's at the end, the Wily stages have a couple segments that are kind of just not bad, just aren't on par with the quality for the rest of the game, but that's it. Like, aside from that, like, it's just phenomenal through and through. Like, it's just like, holy crap. Like, so how are they going to top it? Like, it would be very difficult, just because they'd have to get like all this random inspiration, because that's the thing with creative outlets. If you just want to make a game, you can sit down, and you know how to make a game. You can sit down, because you're like, I've made games before. I'll just, I'll get the art and all this stuff, and I'll slap it together, and here's something I manufactured just to get a game out. But like, the really high quality, art pieces are just someone like wakes up in the middle of the night, or they're sitting at their desk and they just keep getting inspiration, and they don't know where it's coming from. But they just keep getting idea after idea after idea, and they're all golden. And that's what Mega Man 9 was. So it's an anomaly that it's so good, but it's so good. And 10 just, there's no way it's going to be able to follow up. Like, the chances were so small. So playing it now, I'm like, it's a pretty good game. None of it pops the way 9 did, but it's still a good game. But going from 9 to 10, like right after, it's impossible for like, I just had this overwhelming sensation of the best is over, just because of how good 9 was. The bar is just so ridiculously high. Like, I can't, like, I love Mega Man 9. I love Mega Man 9. 10 does have some good music, like Feral, or not Feral, I almost said Feral Man, but it's Commando, the Commando Man, I think it's called, his stage. That music is great. And Nitro Man has a couple good sections in his track as well, but overall it's not on the same level, but it's still a really, really good game. I mean, Mega Man 9 I give a 10. If I could give it like an 11 or a 12, I would, but 10 out of 10. 10 I give like an 8.5 to a 9. 7 I give a 9. 8 I probably give 8.5, 9. Like, this is all around, it's a solid package. And yeah, it's kind of a bummer. Just, it's a really minor bummer that 8's missing the Cutman and Woodman bosses. But again, I think if they had done that, this game would have had to been increased. This package would have been $10 more, just because of the licensing and the extra work to take these two completely different games and make them a brand new Mega Man 8. So I don't think people, like, there's already people that scoff at $20 US for a collection of 4 games that are, from 1996 to 2010. Even though, to me, I don't see it as an overprice, because it's the best any of these games has ever been presented. And so if they had added that additional stuff in that work order, the cost would not have been worth the response and the sales, I think. So, because I wouldn't have, if it was, if they had done that, and if it was even 25 US, just that extra bit, I would have been like, no, I'm going to wait for a drop. And again, it only amounts to about 2 minutes of content, so it's, who cares? I don't. What else is there to say here? I'm just trying to make sure I covered everything. There's a museum. There's there's a music player in this, but there's no external OST. Like, if you want 7, 8, 9, 10, you got to go buy them from like Play Asia or some other source because they're not included in this package, which it's a disappointment. Like Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 on PS4, I bought that. You know, I got it for really, really cheap. I got it for $2. And inside it had a boss cheat sheet, which would have been nice if this had as well. Even not physical, if they had it built into the menu, so you're not going Shift Tab for the Steam overlay, or on your phone looking at a, you know, what's the boss order. And for Mega Man 7, you know, where's the collectibles? Would have been nice to have that built into the menu. Which sounds kind of weak, but I mean, it's, you know, it's a collection. It would have been nice if they had like a guide built into it, or the manual scans as well. The original manual scans, just for the sake of nostalgia. But there's no OST included outside of the game, and you can't buy one through Steam either. There's no, like, you know, $10 Legacy Collection 7 through 10 entire soundtracks. So that's a bit of a bummer. That, to me, that's something I miss, because I love the music in these games. I love the music in these games. Even 10, which is, like I said, it's not the best in the franchise, but it's still good. Because what's a bad Mega Man game? A bad Mega Man game from what's been released so far in these, like, original, this style, is still a really high quality experience. It's just compared to other Mega Mans. What else is there? There is the OST thing I touched on, the museum. Was there anything else? I think that's it. And yeah, you know, like what you're seeing in this footage, it's not me playing the best, but total time to beat this entire package, I would say, is around 10 hours. But that's also, I had known most of these games, aside from 7 and 8, which I may have completed once or twice in the past each, but not like Mega Man 9. Because Mega Man 9, I beat that in, I think the clock time on Steam was an hour, but the actual time was around 40 minutes. There's also the remix modes, but it's like the modes from Mega Man Legacy Collection 1. They're just taking the stages that already exist and haphazardly kind of slamming them together and then throwing a timer on it. Just to have another bullet on the feature list. Like, it's really not, there's not a lot of replayability there. If I'm going to take the time to play this collection, I'm going to replay one of the main games. I'm not going to do a remix challenge mode. That's what it is. It's just, it's not worth the time to go do it. But I'd recommend this. Like, this package, to me, it's a 9 out of 10. One issue it has is the mouse cursor doesn't hide. Even though there's no mouse support, the mouse cursor stays on screen. So even if I tuck it in the corner, sometimes it just, because you know, you bump the cord with your toe or whatever, this, that, the other, and the cursor kind of crawls back in. You got to pause the game and put the cursor back in the corner. When the gamepad's plugged in, the keyboard's still active. So when I would, like, hit Shift Tab for the overlay, Shift is shoot and Tab is the menu. So I would want to hit Shift Tab with the menu off, so that when I would Shift Tab, the menu would come up from the Tab trigger. Or there is some other game where one of the games in here, the Tab doesn't do that, and then Shift is just auto fire. So I would Shift Tab and then just be auto firing the background the whole time while enemies are coming at him and stuff. So, you know, minor issues, but it doesn't have the input delay that Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 launched with on PC. I think that's since been fixed, although it took them a long time to fix it, considering how big of an issue that is. Like, that's still something I'm remembering, because when I bought this, that's why I waited until I could get it for cheaper than they were asking for. Because I'm like, I don't know, because, you know, I asked people, does this have input lag, and they'll say no. But a lot of people said that with Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 as well, and then I played it, and I was like, holy smokes, it's like a second and a half. So, from someone that's highly sensitive to input delay, like highly sensitive, if it's there, it's virtually the CRT level, which is it's almost non-existent input lag. There's no audio issues like there have been in past Mega Man collections. One of the anniversary collections had issues with looping and audio delays with the sound effects. This is all like, it's perfect. It's all displays and plays and sounds perfect, and I even think the audio sounds better than it did when I had played them before, because there's something else that's been done here aside from like a simple like dump into an emulation system, or, you know, custom front end for their emulation system. And then obviously that pixel perfect mode, to me, is that's perfect. So I'd recommend this to anybody at the asking price. And I'm probably going to go rebuy Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 on the PS4 eventually as well, just because I didn't get this for the full asking price. And it's so good, like I'm gonna want to replay it again, and I'm gonna want to create an excuse to do that, which will be rebuy it on another platform. So I'll probably get, and then at that point I'll have spent probably $40 on this game US. So I got this for 15, and I'll probably be looking to get the next one. It'll probably be, you know, 15-20 bucks. I guess more like $30, but that'll be closer to what they were asking, and they'll get a little bit more because I'm double dipping. So definitely pick this up. It's a great game. 9 out of 10. It's on Steam. It's gonna stay there for a while. Sometimes these collections go up and go away. Like what's happened with the 3D Realms anthology, or like there was a Duke Nukem 3D collection that came up and went away, and then Gearbox released a different one that's not as good as the one that used to be up because the licensing rights went away. I mean, this is from Capcom, but they could pull it, right? They could pull it sometime down the line. But if they do that, if you bought it, it's always in your Steam library. So this is one of those ones where it's perfect. Like aside from that 2 minutes of content missing from Mega Man 8, like just get it. And eventually you're gonna get the itch to play these games because they're incredible. Every single one is like, even the ones Mega Man 9's the best by far, and all other Mega Man games look not as good in comparison. Like, cause it's so insanely good. Like, oh my, I can't, like, I'm so in love with that game. But just get this.